recipe. For more consistent results, make the whole recipe. I just did 1/4 to make coloring the dough easier, so I could balance it a little bit more and get even proportions for each color of dough. But if you're just making one color, or you're planning on making one color and then icing, I would just make the whole batch. Don't do the 1/4 measurements. So I will post that in the description box when I just post this part of the stream separate. But yeah, so I have so many like text little bubbles. I gotta pull up. Okay. I'm just gonna test some things here. Okay. Okay, so starting off, I'm gonna just explain ingredients you see on the screen here. So this is pretty much everything that you need. Is I used soy butter or margarine, whatever this is. It's lactose free. I'm not lactose intolerant, but it's a long story. Basically, I've just gotten used to having lactose free products, so I can't go back. It tastes gross otherwise. Butter itself is okay, but this was also just on sale, so I was like, whatever. But milk, my milk's lactose free, also just because I can't drink regular milk anymore because it tastes gross. But yeah, so what you need for this is I use, oh, my cat left. Okay, see ya. Anywho, so you want butter, margarine, or shortening. If you're using, I'll explain this as I'm putting in, but you'll need, if your shortening's in the, why can't I speak? Shortening is used in the original recipe. So if you want to substitute with butter or margarine, you have to do a little bit of conversion. I will explain that since I did do that. We got white sugar back there. You need egg, just one. You just need one egg if you're doing a whole batch. Cat being weird. Yeah, so butter, one egg, sugar, flour. You can just use all-purpose flour, but you can use other flour if you want, of course, but all-purpose works the best for this kind of thing. Baking powder, milk, which is not on the screen here because it took me a minute to realize I needed milk. And then food coloring. I have these neon colors just because it makes it a little more vibrant, especially for like, I don't know, I just find it's nice. It looks less like, I find it looks very earthy when you use dough with like dye and cookie, because it's not a perfect white when you add it in. So the neon colors just kind of make it a little more vibrant and less earth toned, I find. But yeah, but you can use like regular colors as well. Or cat's being a pain. Nessie. I should just make her a little avatar as well. She's just, what's she doing? She's vibing over there. She's chewing on her foot. Anyways, and then for flavorings, I have cocoa powder, which I use for like to make kind of like a brown or black kind of dough. And then I also have artificial vanilla and artificial banana flavoring. The banana flavoring, it wasn't actually that strong. I don't know how much you're supposed to put in, because I put it the same ratio as the vanilla, and I don't know, it just wasn't taste strong, I don't think. But, she wants out. Nessie! Trying to stuff, baby. Why couldn't you just sit on my lap? Okay, guys, I'll be back in like 5 seconds. I'll just leave the door open. no. She's not cat. She gets away with stuff though. She's like 15, so I just let her get away with whatever she wants, essentially. Okay, where is I? Okay, so let's get started, I guess. I'm honestly a little nervous about this. I don't remember what this looks like. Okay, yeah, so these are all things. I just used a single bowl, and then I used the electric mixer because it was easier, but you also need like a spoon. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is bitter. Here I don't have 1/8 cup, so I used a 1/4 cup and just filled it out halfway. So you want to kind of like, you have to add extra since I'm substituting shortening with butter. So instead, if I was just using shortening, I would use 1/8 a cup, but because I'm using butter, I use 1/8 a cup plus 2 tablespoons. So that's just over half of the 1/4 cup. And you don't need to melt it or anything for this recipe. Some recipes require you to melt it. It is better if it's room temperature. It mixes it a bit better, but you will be okay if it's not room temperature. It just might take a little more chopping and mixing to get it going. I really like this soy butter. I don't know, it lasts a long time also. I find a lot of soy products go bad fast, but this butter doesn't, which is lovely. And I'm going to take my sweet time doing this, apparently. Oh, good, I got a spoon to scoop into the cup. Sometimes that's easier, and also because butter is going to come out kind of in clumps, you want to like squish it down a little bit, because otherwise you're going to get little air pockets and then you won't have the proper measurement. I'm pretty sure I kind of ignored that for a lot of these measurements, but when you're baking, it works best if you are precise. So try and be precise as possible when you're like mixing things. Wow, I'm struggling with that butter. Ah, there you go. You got it. You got it. You're doing it. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. And then next, we're going to use white sugar. We're going to do 1/4 a cup. I always do a little bit less if I can, because I don't like things that are too sweet. But these are sugar cookies, so like you do need almost all the whole amount. If you put too little, it's not going to work, because then I'll have nothing for the dough to like stick in. Brown sugar is a healthier option, but it will create a different consistency. Yeah, 1/4 cup of sugar in there. And next, I want to get an egg. This was a little difficult because since I split the recipe in fourths, and the whole recipe counts for 1 egg, I had to split the egg into fourths. Yeah, so I was like, how am I supposed to do this? So what I did was, it needs to be whisked anyways. So you crack the egg into the bowl. There's my egg. And then whisk it, and yeah, I guess I'll wait. I'll wait for myself to catch up, my hands to catch up. Taking my sweet time. You can use a fork to whisk if you don't have an actual whisk. I just like fork better. I find when you use a whisk, the egg gets always stuck on the tip of it, and it's just difficult to clean. So I prefer a fork. Okay, and to separate my egg into fourths, I found it's actually almost like perfectly splits into 4 tablespoons of egg. So that's what I did. I just put 1 tablespoon of egg in each batch of batter, and it seemed to work fine. Like, I was a little skeptical. I was like, oh crap, this isn't gonna work. But it did. It wasn't too eggy. It wasn't not enough eggy. Oh, I'm so glad I turned off the sound for this part. Electric whisk it up. You want to make it so it has a smooth consistency. You can also whisk the butter and sugar together first and then add the egg and whisk again. I don't know. I've done it both ways. There's not really a difference. I find, I don't know. I guess if you're making something a little more like extravagant, it probably does. Like, especially with like if you're using meringue, just the egg whites, that matters the way you mix it. This, since we're using the whole egg, doesn't really. I find it's just about the same. Yeah, so here's that. It's kind of like a weird chunky butter mixture. It looks like eggs, honestly. If someone like scrambled some eggs, that's kind of what it looks like. So do not be alarmed if it's kind of like chunky. That's okay. We're gonna mix it more. Alright, so next we're adding in the flavoring. So for this I'm doing vanilla for the first batch because I'm making a white/yellow because it's kind of like an off-white. So use 1/8 teaspoon vanilla, or for my other batches I also did 1/8 teaspoon of banana flavor, or for cocoa powder 1 teaspoon of cocoa powder. And also keep in mind, if you're using cocoa powder, it's going to absorb more liquid because you're adding more solid into it. So you might need to add a little more milk when you're doing this with cocoa powder. And so then you're going to blend it again, and you get this kind of like nice cream. Well, it's about the same, but it's a little creamier because you added more liquid. And then you're going to add, oh wait, I'm going faster than myself now. You're going to add 1/2 tablespoon of milk. I only had a tablespoon for some reason. For some reason, I don't have 1/2 tablespoon. So I just did my best to fill it up. Keep in mind, dry ingredient measurements. Oh, there's Nessie! And wet ingredients have different measuring spoons, like tablespoons and teaspoons. There's different ones. Yes, I got the milk in now. And we're going to whisk it together till it's nice and creamy. So you can see it kind of becoming more like a cream now, which is what you want. You want that. And here would also be where you add the food coloring and then mix it together before you add the dry ingredients. Actually, yeah, let me pause this. I do want to mention food coloring. As we are doing this, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Is that my arm? Okay, anyways. See? Food coloring. Yeah, so while you're adding the milk would also be when you add the food coloring. And so for different food colorings, the colors I use here, for orange, you use 2 drops of lime green food coloring and 4 drops of magenta, and I added banana flavor to that one. I'll also mention this again when I show all the finished doughs. And then for red, 4 drops of red, and I added banana flavor. I really wish I had orange flavoring. I wanted like a mandarin orange kind of flavoring. I don't know, that sounded really good, but I couldn't find any in the store that was across from my house. So I made do with banana, because I've also been craving artificial banana recently, specifically those little banana milk things. But yeah, anyways, and then for blue, just 4 drops of blue, and I added vanilla, because I don't know, blue bananas, nah. Even though orange being banana flavored was kind of trippy. Purple, 1 drop of blue, 3 drops of magenta, vanilla flavoring. For brown was 1 teaspoon of cocoa powder, which would make it chocolate flavored. It's not a super sweet chocolate flavored, because there's a lot of sugar in it. It's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's not dark chocolate, but it's like in between milk and dark chocolate kind of flavor. You don't need to add more sugar. I should keep that in mind. Don't add more sugar. Otherwise, it's going to be way too sweet. Okay, and now the flour. So we're going to add 2/4 a cup of flour. So I have a 1/4 measuring cup, and I'm going to fill it up twice, which I've been using this whole time. So it is like covered in everything. It's got butter and sugar on it. If you want to be cleaner, I guess, if you're making a full batch, it's easier. Because I was making so many batches, I didn't want to clean in between. But you can clean it out and then use it again, you know, if you don't want. I don't know why, but I don't know. You don't really need to, but if you want to, you can. And then baking powder. Do not forget this. Baking powder is important. And so is baking soda if the recipe has baking soda. Usually if you're using actual bananas, baking soda is in there. Don't know why. It's just the way it is. Baking powder, it helps it rise a little bit. It's kind of like yeast in that way, I guess. It kind of keeps it together. It's good. You don't, if you don't put it in, bad things happen. Get really flat, very, very flat items. Except brownies. Brownies have neither in them, and brownies still work for some reason. I don't know. It's I don't get it. Yeah. So we're gonna yeah. So we're adding baking powder. So you want to add 1/4 a teaspoon of baking powder. Only have half a teaspoon, so you fill up half of it. Wow, I was aggressive with that. I just kind of like chucked it. And magic baking powder, because I don't know, that's just the brand that's always there in the store, and it's magic. Why would you not want to buy it? So then you're going to want to electric blend that. And don't worry if you don't get all of the stuff on the side while you're doing this. You're going to scrape that off and hand mix it in later. This is just to like get the majority of the flour mixed in with the wet ingredients. If you're also having trouble with mixing, adding the dry ingredients in portions is also a good idea. Combine the flour and baking soda off to the side in a different bowl and then add it in parts into the wet ingredients. So you're gonna take a spoon, scrape it along the sides, and finish mixing. And then you're gonna roll up the ball of dough and wrap it in plastic wrap. And you want to stick that in the fridge. Oops. Y'all didn't see that. So you want to wrap it up nice tight little ball and put that in the fridge for at least an hour minimum. Overnight's even better, I think. I didn't have time for that though. But if you don't let it chill long enough, bad things happen. The dough is really sticky then and then melty, and it just sticks to everything. Yeah, and so that's dye colors. That's how you make different colors. Actually, let me go back a little bit. Where is it? So it's kind of hard to see, but this is how you make the other colors with the colors you are given. So here's the orange, and it says 2 lime, 4 magenta. And somehow it worked. I was actually really shocked. I was like, why am I mixing green and red to get orange? But I guess since it's a lime green, it's got yellow in it. Yeah, it was odd. And then here, this is the lime green, and oh, I guess, is it not magenta I used? I need to fix that. That's the red. I guess I didn't use the magenta. It was lime green and the red. That's weird. Okay, where is... I'm going to fix this. Okay, so there we go, fixed it. So 2 drops of lime green and 4 drops of red. And I added banana flavor, and for some reason the image I picked for this is really blurry. I know because I had to insert it. This is the orange dough. I have better photos of it coming up, but that's the orange dough. It's actually pretty orange. Doesn't look super orange in this photo, but it's orange, I promise. Also, it's super quiet in here right now, and I don't like it. And then next, we have blue dough. I made the blue one next, which was 4 drops of blue, and it created this with vanilla flavor, and it created this nice, vibrant blue. I would have liked it was a little bit darker, but I don't know what color it would have added. I think just getting it like a normal blue dye would have been better in this case. But yeah, I still like it though. It's a nice color. And then for the purple dough, we have 1 drop of blue and 3 drops of magenta and vanilla flavor. Purple dough gave me the most issue. For some reason, it would not chill. The other ones, they solidified quite nicely. Even the ones that I like made last, I had them in there for like an hour or so, and they were nice, solid. Like, I mean, they're still kind of squishy. Could have been harder, but it was enough that it wasn't like sticking to my hands and everything. Purple dough was like a goo. It was so hard to mold. It just would not solidify. And I don't know why. Blue is a little soft too, so I'm wondering if it was the blue ink, but then blue should be really goopy. So I don't know. I have no clue why it was like that. I don't know. Maybe it was even the magenta coloring. I don't know, one of the colorings or something. Or maybe I put too much butter in this one or something. I don't know. This little batch gave me so many issues. Sticking everywhere. And then we have the red color. It's like a pastel red, kind of like a dark pink, I guess. And it's just 4 drops red. Add more to make it darker red. Just since my other colors are pastel, I was like, I'll just go pastel. And I made a banana flavor because I was going to combine it with the chocolate one, and I just wanted banana chocolate. Yeah, banana chocolate. And then this is the brown one. I'm adding a little bit of food coloring might have made it darker, but I don't know. I thought this was an okay color. I didn't want to add more cocoa powder though, because I thought it would be more bitter. So like, I don't know. I don't know if you can feasibly make this one darker, because also if you have too much food coloring, it don't taste good. So this one is literally just cocoa powder. There's no food coloring, and you get nice chocolate flavor. Chocolate flavor. Okay, and then once your dough has chilled, this is when I took them out of the fridge, I lined them up. I made little popsicle stick figures of the like starting lineup. So then I could kind of make calling this a diagram of what colors to use, just to like figure out where everything's gonna go. Because when you're working with a lot of colors, it can get confusing. So you just kind of want to like make a little chart kind of thing to help you out. So this is close up, so I picked red and the brown for whose name, I need to pull up the names. Red and brown for Kashu Kiyomitsu. And then for Yamanbagiri Kunihiro. It's so hard to say. I have white specifically, and I was gonna take a little bit of blue and a little bit of orange, but they need to sit over there for my chart. So he's just kind of chilling with this white. But white is also going to be used for Hachisuka Kotetsu, so I put it in between the two popsicle sticks. How I laid this out. And then purple was going to be used by Kotetsu and Kasen Kansada. So I put that in between, and then blue is going to be used by Kansada and Yoshiyuki. And Yoshiyuki was going to be the only one to use the orange. Well, besides, before. And so I cut them in half, kind of, or in slits. You can like do strips also. I wasn't sure how I wanted exactly to roll these out when I was doing this, so I just did it kind of like this. Cut them into halves, or like the pieces you need, just cut them up, stick them all together. And then, oh, they did play. And then you want to, this is a different one because I didn't take a picture, but you want to roll it into a tube shape and then flatten it out. I didn't have a rolling pin, so I used my hand. Use a rolling pin if you can. It's so much easier and consistent. And then you want to cut them out. I just used this container to cut out the shape I wanted because I wanted them to be like kind of imperfect circles. So you cut the shape out and then you peel the excess away, and then you pick up your cookie. Using a spatula is also good for that, and stick it on the pan. Okay, and I want to point out here, I have tin foil in this pan because this tin thing it's a mess. I used it to make French fries a few times, and it's got weird bumpy oil spots everywhere that I can't get off. They're almost like sticky. I have no clue what happened. It's kind of like soaked into the paint. It's kind of weird. But this is the only pan that fits in my toaster oven because I don't trust the oven because I moved into a new place. Every time I rent a place, I don't trust the oven. Never trust the oven is kind of my rule. So I use a toaster oven since I'm a single person anyways. Sorry, I need a sip of water. That looked funny. But yeah, so I use a toaster oven, and it doesn't get as much heat in the toaster oven, so the tin foil will help get heat to the cookies, and toaster oven since it's smaller, it's distributed nicely even though it's not as hot. But keep in mind, tin foil on your pan will cause the bottoms to cook faster than the top. And sometimes it results in the bottom burning before the center of the cookie is cooked. So keep that in mind. You can also use parchment paper specifically baking parchment paper. Do not use any paper that is not for baking in the oven. I must specify that. Do not want to catch on fire. But yeah, but that's why I use tin foil. You can use it, you don't have to though. But yeah. And also it kind of makes for easy cleanup when you have something on the tray you're cooking on. So you can just recycle or throw it out or whatever after. Don't have to worry about cleaning the pan. Yeah, so you want to do that. And so these were my next ones that I did. So did 3 colors for this one, which I love how it kind of gradient. Then purple and blue. And these were the first 3 laid out. Also note, do not put these little popsicle thick things in the toaster oven or the oven. They will burn. I just have them here so you can see them against the characters they're based off before they go into the oven. And then, this one's my favorite, the light blue and purple one. They look so pretty. And then, chocolate banana flavor. I love these ones. These ones are my favorite. Just, I like those color combinations. I like Neapolitan ice cream. It's not my favorite ice cream, but I really like it. And that's what it reminds me of. And it makes me happy. And these are some messed up ones, kind of like on the ends, that I didn't want to throw out. It's actually a good one here. That one's okay. But these are like messed up ones at the end that I just chucked on the tray so I could eat. And then this is done baked. These ones I toasted a little too much. I baked them for, oops, where am I doing? There we go. I baked them for about 15 minutes, just over, because also my oven hadn't fully preheated, so I tried a little bit longer. And they're a little brown on the edges, but I think they turned out better than the ones that weren't brown on the edges. I think those ones were a little undercooked. So I think it's almost better to have the brown edges. Also, they remind me of those little Pillsbury cookies. It makes me so happy. Yeah, so you want to bake for about, if you're using the toaster oven, bake for about 15 minutes at 350 degrees Celsius. If you're using an oven, I would recommend 8 to 10 minutes, just because it gets hotter in there, and so they'll cook faster. You do not want to burn. So like keep an eye on them also though, because they get dark really fast from looking very undercooked to very cooked very quickly. But yeah, I like these because 15 minutes, that's pretty good. Like, that doesn't take that long. It's not like when you're like making cake or something, or like a loaf of bread and it like takes an hour or something. It's pretty nice. Then these are the other ones cooked. And then this is all of them here, all lined up. I love them so much. They turned out amazing. Yeah. You can also do more complicated designs if you want by rolling tubes of dough, sticking them all together, letting that harden, and then slicing. That is another method I've seen done, and it works really well if you want to make a complicated design in your cookie and have it consistent. And then these are the individual photos I took. I had Pizza Hut tonight, so that's why the Pizza Hut box. These are my favorite, the white and purple ones. Ooh, and yeah, so that was cooking video. And it's beautiful.